Hi everyone, this is Julie Bruns. Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. I want you to thrive and be happy, peaceful, and content, no matter where you are on your journey. This podcast shares stories that will show you how it can be done, no matter what your circumstances. You'll be inspired and come away with a new spark of an idea. Never forget, anything is possible. New episodes are released every Wednesday. Subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review. This helps others find our content and get happier sooner. To possibility and beyond. Okay, welcome everyone. My guest this week is Rachael Baker. And Rachael, her name came across to me via an article I read actually, I think almost 4 years ago, Rachael, when I was doing some research on meditation and mindfulness. And it was an article in Tampa Bay newsletter, which was kind of funny because I don't normally subscribe to a city I don't live in because I'm in Chicago, but we were looking at places there and just seeing if it's something we want to, place we want to move to at some point in the future. So I started getting the newsletters. I found this article. Your name was referenced in it regarding mindfulness, and I've used it to quote some research in my workshops ever since. So for the last 4 years, your name in that article has come up lots of times. So thank you for joining me today.
Yes, happy to be here.
Yeah, so it was kind of fun. I reached out and said, listen, this is a topic I've been speaking a lot about lately, and I thought I'd reach out and say, if you're still involved in this work, I'd love to chat. And you struck me as someone who loves what you do, so that's why you're on the podcast. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning and let everyone know. So what you do now, and then I know that it's part of what you do in your everyday job, and then I know it's part of extra stuff that you do regarding your full-time work. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got to this place in your career involved with mindfulness. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I work for Aetna, which is now CVS Health / Aetna, and I have been there for about 5 years. And I'm a senior wellness consultant, which means that I work with local mid to large size employers in the North Florida market on their wellness strategy, programming, and design for their employee wellness programs. And I've been doing that for, 11 or 12 years now, I believe. And the mindfulness work at Aetna, I've always had a mindfulness or meditation practice off and on throughout my life, did yoga, very health conscious in general since I was young. But it became more apparent to me when I came to Aetna 5 years ago that mindfulness was critical to my well-being. And because my company, Aetna, really had a mindfulness strategy for internally for the employees and externally for our customers, we offered a lot of mindfulness programs and products and really supported that mindfulness as a key component to our overall well-being. So I took that and ran with it and wanted to learn as much as I could about it. We then, a few years later, hired a chief mindfulness officer and a director and a whole team of people. And then we had a bunch of advocates like myself that volunteered to step up and be mindfulness advocates for the company. And that's when, I think it was 2016 that you might have found that article on me, because that's where I have 2 young children. They're now 8 and 10. So I think they were was 4 years ago. Do the math. I think 4 and 6 or something. And they were, just approaching elementary school, preschool, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to have mindfulness in schools. So I was watching a show one day, and it was talking about this mindfulness program in schools, and my jaw dropped. And that's the moment, those aha moments you have in life. That was one of the most aha moments where I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do something. I work for a huge company that supports mindfulness, and they support youth and mental health and communities. So I thought maybe I could use my employer and be a conduit to connect people so that mindfulness can be in schools. So long story short on that, we started off, Aetna Foundation funded about 15 schools here locally in my area, in Tampa Bay area, with this program called Explore, which is a mindfulness in schools program. And to this date, so that was back in 2017, we kicked that off. Now we have over 350 schools now with Explore that was funded by Aetna. And I'm just really proud of that. It took a lot of people to do that, but it really started with my brainchild, I believe, and my initial kind of connection, getting everybody in the right places to make that successful. So,
Wow. So wait, that Inner Explorer, I think I may have seen that at a workshop I was at. This is probably like 2 years ago. Would they have been at, it was a school that was giving this workshop, and it was an author that was there. Would they have been promoting it like for school programs to get people to sign up? Does that sound right?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, they do get out there quite a bit to different schools and events and
Hey,
things like that.
yeah. I think I've
Yeah.
seen it because I think I wanted to get more information about it, and it was like, oh, it's for schools, and I was in corporate America at the time, but I
Yeah.
remember thinking, what a great idea this should be.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, it should be in schools. It should be taught when kids are
Right.
5, as soon as they can
Yes.
get the concept. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I'm so grateful that I believe in serendipity and that, life directs us to where we need to be at the right time. And so I came to Aetna. It helped me, with my own personal well-being path, and then to be able to, have something like that happen because of my company and their support to make, this many schools in Florida with this program is amazing. So.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. You should be very proud of that. And yeah, I would love to see it in every school in the country,
Yeah.
public and private. I mean, it should be part of the curriculum, period. Yes. So that's
Yeah.
awesome that you're at least, you're doing what you can. You want to just do what you can. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how cool is that you got to take what you love and that was critical to your well-being and share it, come up with this idea, and then have your company. You must be very proud to work for a company that
Yes.
I've never heard of a chief mindfulness officer. Is that what it's called?
Yes, and back then, 2016, he was hired. There wasn't really that title anywhere. I think there's other um, roles like that in the
Yeah.
world with other companies, but it was just very unique at the time, and to be called that, yeah. So
Yeah,
that
that's so
was,
cool.
yeah, and I still keep in touch with him. He's amazing. But
Um,
yeah, it's
okay, that is so cool. All right, so now you've been doing this work.
yeah.
You have this program off the ground. You're doing it through your current role, and you're doing some extra stuff on the side. What do you think? So to get this role in general is a good role at a good company, obviously Aetna, CVS. What do you think made you, besides the mindfulness, of course, made you successful early on and later as you're going through the ranks in your role now and getting to where you are? And being able to like launch and help people launch something like you did too. So what are some of those traits you think that made you successful doing all that?
Well, it's definitely a windy road that to get where I'm at today, with all the different career choices. I mean, I've had several career choices in my life, but when I was younger, I wanted to be an actress, and I did a lot of drama and acting and dancing and theatrical arts. That's kind of where my mind was when I was little. I'm like, oh, I want to be an actress. I want to be a star, like every little girl. But I was then told in 10th grade by my drama teacher that I didn't have what it took. So at that point, I made a decision that I'm not good enough to be an actress. So be careful, teachers and parents, what we say to our kids, because that changed my direction, which was probably meant to be, because I probably wasn't meant to be an actress. But that really took me on a different path. And I've always loved writing and photography. So I thought about photojournalism or journalism. So I went down that path in the beginning of my career in college. And then I had changed colleges and we moved to a different state. So then I switched to another major, to marine biology, which is totally on the other extreme.
Yeah.
I moved back here to Florida, and being around the water and everything, I wanted to do something in marine biology, and then realized, okay, I'm not good at math or sciences, so now I need to figure this out. And so there was a lot of changes that I did, which many of us do probably in college, but I just changed my mind a lot. But I think that's okay, and because you have self-awareness about what your strengths are and stuff. So or at least I did. I tried to, but I ended up going into psychology, social work, and got my master's in social work specifically, and worked in that field for a few years. And I did, I worked with adolescents and with addictions, and a detention center for juveniles. I worked in a women's prison, mental health counseling, and just kind of moved around a little bit in that field. But then a friend of mine brought me an opportunity to work for a tech company in their marketing department. And I know that's completely different too. So I switched again, and I said, I was getting kind of unfulfilled with social work. It was really a tough job with little money, unfortunately. And so I thought, well, this will, be another, the marketing job I was offered was, creative again. It was back to that journalism, that fulfilling piece that I needed. I loved the creativity in it. So I ended up in a tech company for almost a decade, and then had this nagging, this nudge always, this feeling that I still wanted to help people, and I wasn't fulfilled in this tech company. I didn't feel like I was doing anything. It wasn't rewarding. So I still wanted to go back to something to help people, but I didn't know what. And in my early 20s, I was really into health and fitness. I was doing triathlons and competitive running races, and I thought, well, maybe I can do something, in marketing. Since at that point, after a decade of being in the tech company, I had a lot of marketing experience. And event planning experience. And I thought maybe I can plan triathlons or, do marketing for a company like that. So I ended up getting laid off. And at that time, I was very glad I was laid off, because I was just kind of at the end of my time at that company and wanted to do something different anyways. So that's where I ended up, long story short, ended up getting this job at a healthcare system here locally as a corporate wellness program manager. And it was a position that was created for me. I had interviewed for another position and I didn't get that, but the manager called me back and said, we really like you and we want you to create this position for us. And it was literally kind of what I'm doing now at Aetna, but for a local healthcare system. And so that's where I really got my foot in the door with corporate wellness and helping employers with their wellness strategies. So I did that for 6 years. And then I ended up, feeling like I needed, working for a healthcare system, offering free wellness services to employers is great, but I could never get close enough to the employers to see their outcomes or their data. And I felt like, what am I doing? I didn't feel like I was, if I was helping them, I didn't know if I was. So I then looked into the insurance carrier, which, Aetna had a position for wellness. And I was like, perfect. So again, this, everything is so serendipitous in life, I think, but for me in this, the way my career path has happened, everything kind of came to me at the right time. And so, yeah, when I got to Aetna, it was definitely exactly where I needed to be at that time for so many reasons, as I mentioned, with the whole mindfulness piece. But it was a windy road to get there. But what I think made me successful through all that was in early life, I had very supportive parents, 2 loving, supportive parents. And I know not everybody has that. So I was super grateful and fortunate to have that. My mom was always neither one of my parents graduated from college. My dad was kind of a self-made entrepreneur, owned his own company. My mom supported him or had side jobs and, stay-at-home mom. So that was my life, but it was a very supportive, childhood growing up. And they always accepted me for who I was and what I wanted to do, whether it was social work, a teacher, or a doctor or lawyer. I mean, they didn't care what I did as long as I was happy doing what I was doing. And my whole life, I grew up with a family that was very health conscious. So I think that's maybe why I'm where I'm at too. My brother's also in the health and fitness industry too. So we're all kind of went down that path. So I think that's kind of what helped me be successful. And then as far as how, did you ask me how I stayed happy and peaceful?
Yeah, well, so yes, I did not ask you that. I'd like to know I want to say something about the corporate wellness manager role that wasn't even what you interviewed for.
Yes.
Something similar happened to me at one of my jobs, but I just want to point out that that's so, for people out there, I don't care if you just graduated from college or you're 50 years old and you're going for something. If it's something's drawing you, like I totally believe what you're saying about the serendipity, something's drawing you to go apply for something or reach out to someone or have a conversation, just do it. Because even if you suck it, not everything fits together, but something's pulling me there. You never know when you get off the phone where the conversation is going to lead. And then the person, like the guy they said to you, we really like you. We'd like to basically create this position for you, something they're thinking about. You never know who you're talking to, and you never know what their needs are behind the scenes of that one thing they told you they needed. So I encourage people to just go find out and trust that you're being guided in the right way for whatever reason. And nothing comes from that role and you don't get that job. It's because maybe that person that you're interviewing with is actually leaving to go to another company and they liked you so much and they're going to call you when they get to the other company. You just never know. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that you got in that role and it kind of married all the things together, but you didn't even know
Yes.
that because you weren't even going for a job like that when you interviewed. So
Yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah.
Yes. I also think I meant to mention that I do, like you just said, everything kind of fell in place at the right time, but also I felt like where I'm at now, I feel like where I'm at now with my role brought everything full circle. All of my experiences, all of my education, the mental health, the social work, the health and fitness, the
Mhm.
desire to help people, my creative side, all of that kind of came together in one role, and it was just a beautiful thing that happened.
That's the best. So how did you, as you were moving from these different roles, and I know about social work because two of my sisters have been in that arena, and it's very, very stressful. They were younger, right out of college, and yeah, I think that's
Hmm.
you need a certain stamina and naivete. I'm sure in the beginning, and I know the burnout rate is great, but you did all these some of very stressful things along the way. How did you stay peaceful and happy along the way?
Yeah, I would say early on in life, like I said, I love writing, creative writing, and just general writing. But like, I think just the creative side of me helped me stay sane and get through some of the ups and downs. I've explored, lots of different creative stuff like writing, but also photography and painting. And so that, to me, throughout my life, I've always had that there to go to. I think in my, early adulthood, I would say, because I went through a phase where I was like obsessed with exercise and triathlons and running, but that was my place, my happy place, and where I felt whole again. If I had a stressful day or week or time that I was going through, that exercise really helped me. And I feel like now, where I'm at in my life now, it's all about self-care, self-love. My meditation literally it's medicine for me. I have to do it as much as I can. If I can do it every day, I try. And of course, exercise and all the other healthy things that we need to do. But mostly it's more of a spiritual, emotional thing for me now. At this point in my life, I've got 2 kids. I'm a single mom and work full time. And it's, we're in this environment that we're in life right now with pandemic and everything else going on. So it's a tough world right now, and I have to meditate every day and practice mindfulness and self-love, and that's how I get through.
I love that, and it's so interesting because I mean, I grew up in, I'm 50 now. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so it was all about aerobic exercise. Obviously, exercise is needed for your health and well-being, but it was not even until probably the last 5 or 10 years where people were saying how good it was for your mind and the science around what it actually does for your brain and everything. And the more people I talk to that are between the ages of 30 and 70, they'll say that they exercise more for the peace of mind and the serenity and all of the good things that it gives you, and it helps you to perform better. It seems like that's more the trend. People aren't even doing it so much to be looking different. They're doing it to be feeling different.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm so glad it's gone that way too, because obviously you will look different if you're doing it because you're going to be healthier and all those other things that go along with it. But it's the mind, the stuff it does to your mind, the impact it has to your mind that is really the I think the coup de grace if you're trying to figure out how to stay sane and happy and peaceful. So yeah,
Yes.
I love that. Okay, cool. All right. So what advice would you have for, so fast forward to your kids are graduating from college or they're trying to find what they want to do in the world. They have a job that they're not happy in. What would you say to someone that's searching for a meaningful career or one that they can use where they can use their strengths? I mean, they're going to have a winding road, but that's okay too. What advice would you have for them?
Um, I know it sounds cliche, but I would say that you have to listen to your heart, listen to your intuition. And I think I wish I would have done more of that as a young person. Have trust in yourself. Don't always look to the outside or, to your parents or to friends or whoever it may be to get insight or advice. Listen to yourself. And if you don't know what your strengths are, you don't know quite who you are or what you would be good at, then do some research. I would say, find a strength tool, a strength finder tool or something that you can do online even, find out about your personality. There's lots of tests out there just to kind of get some insight to start with if you have no idea. If you know what your strengths are, then follow what those strengths are. Follow your heart. Like and I always say, like, as you can see with my story, I kind of went in and out to different majors in college and then different career choices. I literally kind of went all over the place there for a while. And I would say the main thing is to just find out what you're good at. And if you don't feel right in a particular job or career, if something doesn't feel right, you need to do something about that. Because, a lot of people stay in a job that they don't like for too long, and you don't think anything's really happening. You're just not really happy, or maybe a little sad, depressed, anxious, angry, whatever it might be that you're feeling. But that will wear on you over time, and it will manifest physically down the road in your body. So it's really, really important to live your truth through your work that you do, and whatever that might be. And I would say people, in college, or just young people or anybody really, but especially younger people that are trying to figure this stuff out, do some work on the inside, like I said, self-love, but also like inner child work is good. That can help you really figure out kind of where you came from and why you are the way you are and what your strengths are too. And I would say, lastly, I would say that, a lot of us are fear-based, I think, especially right now. We don't know what's going to come. So I would say as hard as it is to try to be more faith-based, and I'm not saying necessarily God or anything, but whatever you believe in outside of yourself, just have faith in yourself and have faith in the universe, that, or whatever, God, that it's, you're going to figure it out. And it's not something to worry so incessantly about. And I think mindfulness is a key to do this, because it brings out our authentic self, which is key to finding something meaningful in your life to do.
Yes, it's got so many, so many benefits. And yes, having that clarity and clear thoughts and more focus. And it really just bleeds into so many different areas of your life, but especially clearing your head and figuring out, how you feel about something. And also, like you said, helping your intuition and helping you listen to those feelings that you're getting. Whenever all of that stuff is magnified, when you have this mindfulness practice and you're doing it on a regular basis, it's so helpful. And we taught our boys. I was always talking about some of the similar things you're talking about. So I think your kids, they're going to be just fine. You keep on sharing what you are with them and teaching them how to listen and know. And if they don't, like you said, research, because it comes down to, you can ask everyone around you, what do you think I should do? But at the end of the day, you really do know. You're just looking for someone to validate that. And it wouldn't be awesome if you didn't need anyone to validate it, because you just are so sure about it.
Yes.
What a great feeling to have that at 22 or 32 or 52.
I know.
But obviously, the earlier you can't know everything, but at least like that's that full knowing. And when our older son graduated from college last year, he just, Mom, I want to live in Florida. I'm going to focus on that. That's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. I'm gonna make it happen. And it was like so awesome to see him with so much focus and clarity and determination, because of, I would like to think, the things that we've taught him along the way as I pat my back. But you can go get it if you want to put the work in. Here's some tips. Here's how I would go about that. And he did it. He made it happen. And that's not by accident.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's a great feeling. Yeah, keep doing it with your kids, because they're gonna. It's the best feeling when you can see that, especially at a young age, they're living their best life, as they say, and going up. It's not to say they're not going to change their mind or something else is going to shift, but at least they're going down that path. Yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly. That's great.
Okay, so my final question for you: what do you wish? Is there anything you wish you had learned earlier in your life or your career?
Yes. So my dad always used to say, be true to yourself. He would always say that to me, and it's always something that, would be in my ear as I went through life and made different choices. But I never really knew exactly what he meant by that. I knew it, but follow your heart, those kind of things that you say to your kids. But I think I wish I would have listened to that a little bit more as, a young person, because if I could go back in time, and I've actually told, I've talked to teenagers before, different talks I've done. And I, of course, my own kids. And I also have talked to a Girl Scout troop about this, but using your voice and not being scared of your voice, not being scared to speak up. I feel like I was always insecure maybe I didn't know the answer, maybe it'd be a stupid question, or maybe, I'd always second guess myself and question myself and doubt myself. And I wish if I could go back, I wish I would have used my voice more to speak up, within my roles in work situations, and even in personal situations. I don't think I spoke up enough. I think I maybe would have maybe been further along in my career, or maybe different situations. I don't regret anything. That's not what I'm saying, but just the fact that, it's everything we're talking about, when we're true to ourselves, when we can dig in to ourselves a little bit more through meditation or whatever it is for you, counseling, therapy, if you can kind of look into yourself a little bit more and find out what really truly makes you feel purposeful and have meaning, and who you are as an authentic person. If we can find that earlier in life. And that's why I want to do mindfulness in schools so much, because we need kids to learn these skills now so they can, have a better life, a more meaningful life. But I think, again, to be true to yourself, but also to speak up and, speak your truth and live your truth. That is something I learned from my dad, but I wish I would have actually put it into action more in my life. So.
Oh, it's so true. And your dad, bless him, he's probably telling you that, hoping it would get through, and it got through to you eventually. But when you're young and your brain's not developed all the way, you can't understand the deepness of that and the impact of that. But it's like saying it in a different way, or just, being able to embrace it sooner. I totally agree, especially for girls, young girls, and just thinking like, you say something, you might get laughed at, or someone's going to say, oh, that's stupid, or whatever. I mean, I see my boys, doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, people will criticize you, and it doesn't matter. It's like, and the people that are doing that anyways, it's because they're feeling insecure and they wish they had the same strength. But if you could get that strength sooner and trust that you're having that question for a reason, or that feeling for a reason, or whatever, I couldn't agree with you more. It's so important. Yes, that's a beautiful lesson. And one, I think you said it can be even more related, even better around this whole mindfulness topic. So that's a great.
Yeah, I think mindfulness, just coming back full circle here, is mindfulness is the key to so much, and that's just my personal opinion. But it's not only to our well-being and thriving and just wellness, but it's just the key to like truly living our authentic self, our lives, so that we can love ourselves and open up so much more opportunities and possibilities for us in life, and even through our career and our career journeys and our lives, to figure out sooner what really makes us happy for work too. So
yes, amen. I couldn't agree with you more. I agree with everything you said, and it's so awesome to have parents too that are raising kids to be around these concepts, and hopefully sharing them with their friends. And if not, at least it's something they're living, and there's something they're exposed to, and something they're seeing other people do, and knowing the impact that it's having. It's like, it's just the more and more we can get to that, and we can keep expanding, the quicker it's going to take hold for everyone. And I believe, like you, that it's the key to to happiness in life and health, physically and mentally. But if we can we have to get the message out there. And I love that it's becoming a common term, instead of like, just, what do you mean, just sitting there and just meditating with your thoughts? It's like, oh, no, it's so much bigger than that. I love that it's not a foreign concept anymore. And I really appreciate you sharing all your wisdom around it, and your insights. It's been a cool conversation, and I'm definitely going to be, I took a lot of notes, and you have a lot of good phrases. So I'm definitely going to be sharing those when the podcast is released, because it's so important to be just to see the words again, hearing you talk about them, but then seeing the words and having them sink in a little bit more. I think is going to be really helpful. So I really appreciate your time.
Yes, and I just want to say, like, the whole mindfulness in schools thing. I just want to encourage anyone out there that has a dream of doing something, or if you get that aha moment like I did several years ago, listen to that gut feeling, because that moment, to me, I still remember it like it was yesterday. Like, I have to do something. I have to do this. If you ever have that feeling, that is your heart talking to you. Like, this is what you need to go towards. So, that was just one person, kind of, and I worked really hard to get it to where it is today, but just fulfilling that little dream that I realized one afternoon. So I would
That's the
just
thing.
say,
Yeah, it's like I don't want to. I agree. Things come in moments like that. It's usually building, and there's all these other things that people will say, "Well, I'm not having that one moment." It's like, oh no, it's building of experiences and jobs and roles and people you meet or whatever. But it usually is that clear. I had that moment last year about this business. Now it's like it is that clear. And I think it's Marie Forleo or someone else, Tony Robbins. Someone said, like, you wouldn't have the dream or the idea if you didn't have what you needed to fulfill it. And it's like, it's such a simple, it's like, oh, that's so true. It came to your mind because it needs to either be talked about, put on paper, shouted from the rooftops, whatever it is, but it's there for a reason. And the fact that you had it means that you have what you need to execute it. So don't just shy that stuff away and just say, oh, that's just nothing. It's like that's the opposite. It's something.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Rachael. I know people are going to get a lot out of this. Where can they find more about name the program or where you wanted to promote so people can find it if they want to get more information about it for schools and stuff?
Oh yeah. Inner Explorer. It's innerexplorer.org. And there's, anybody can reach out to me on LinkedIn too, if anybody wants to, but Inner Explorer and all the information's on the website, but it's an amazing program.
Awesome. Yes. Let's keep promoting that. All you parents out there, get that information in the schools so that your kids can experience what we're talking about today. Who wouldn't want this?
Right. And especially right now, as we go back into who knows what type of environment with the schools in the fall, we're really trying to push Inner Explorer more than ever now, or whatever. If it's another mindfulness program, doesn't have to be Inner Explorer, but any type of mindfulness program to help support. It's kind of that critical foundational level of mental health, mental support for our children going back into school with the environment we're in.
Now more than ever, I totally agree with you. It's really, yes, if anything's at the forefront now, it's that how are we going to keep our kids calm and peaceful and happy and content and, not bouncing off the walls. This is one of the ways to do it for sure. I'm so glad you mentioned that. You couldn't be more spot on. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Much. Thank you.
Bye, Rachael.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you love this content, please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or whichever platform you found us on. You can get all my social media links in the description below. Help us keep the momentum going so that every person can live their lives happily, doing work they love.